Located in Cambridge, Massachusetts, the Longfellow National Historic Site was the home of two very influential people in American history, George Washington and Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. The house was built in 1759 by John Vassall Jr. He was a Loyalist and was forced to flee to Boston with his family in 1774. In 1776, following the British evacuation of Boston, he left for London. George Washington was born in Virginia on February 22, 1732. Having had only a small amount of schooling in his youth, he gained much of his intelligence from his half-brother Lawrence. At the age of 21, he became a major in the Virginia militia. He had to surrender to the French and Indians at Fort Necessity, but his future brought him much success. George Washington used the Longfellow House as his headquarters during the Siege of Boston from July 1775 to April 1776. The view of the Charles River from the front windows made it a prime location. From this house, he instructed Benedict Arnold to send troops to Quebec, and he sent Henry Knox to retrieve the cannons at Fort Ticonderoga. Many famous Americans, including Ben Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and Phyllis Wheatley, visited him during his stay. Nathaniel Tracy, a privateer during the war, lived in the house from 1781 to 1786. After going bankrupt, he sold it to a merchant by the name of Thomas Russell. Russell lived there until 1791. In 1791, Andrew Craigie bought the estate. He had previously been the Apothecary General for the American Army and had provided George Washington's army with medicine. He added an addition to the house and had kept the gardens up nicely, causing him to fall deep into debt. After his death in 1819, his wife Elizabeth opened the house to boarders, one of whom was the famous poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow was born on February 27, 1807. He attended Bowdoin College when he was only 15 years old and graduated at the age of 18 in 1825. Longfellow became a Harvard professor in 1835 and began renting a room to live in from Elizabeth Craigie 2 years later. In 1843, he married Frances Elizabeth Appleton. Her father, Nathan Appleton, began the Industrial Revolution in New England, and he gave Henry and Fanny the Longfellow house as a wedding gift. The couple had 6 children. Throughout his life, Longfellow was well known for his poetry. At a young age, his essays and poems were being published in magazines and newspapers. He became famous for his long poems such as Evangeline and Paul Revere's Bride. His poetry was extremely famous throughout the United States and Europe, and thousands of copies of his poems were sold in short periods of time. In addition, Longfellow is known for translating and editing the works of many other famous writers, including Dante's Divine Comedy. After quitting his teaching profession at Harvard in 1854, he devoted the rest of his life to writing poetry. After Longfellow's death, his children continued to live in the house. In 1913, they established the Longfellow House Trust in order to preserve it and to open it to the public. It was donated to the National Park Service in 1972.